Have you ever made a Roblox game about horses and thought to yourself, what does this game need? Since this is a game about horses, maybe I should add a stable for your horse, or some sort of treat that could boost your horse's speed. Actually, it'd be really cool to add a... What the...
Player number 1!
I just took a break, okay, and now it's back to work. God made a way, that's the only way it works. I'ma walk this way till they put me in the dirt. May your kingdom come as in heaven on this.
Yeah, I like that idea. Before I'm able to start on the boss battle, there is something I need to do first. If you watched to the end of my last video, you would know that I don't really know what I'm doing. I was trying to make the spinning platform go up and down while spinning at the same time. It seems really easy to do, but there were a few more variables that made this problem a bit more complicated than it sounded. So basically, I couldn't make this seemingly simple obstacle, and it really demotivated me. But seeing so many of you leaving your ideas and theories as to how I could fix this gave me a little bit of motivation to at least try. So yeah, I might have removed it, but that's only because like spinning thingies aren't even really that cool, guys. Like nobody even wants to put spinning thingies in their games. It's not because I still couldn't figure out how to fix it with the help of 150,000 people. Anyways, I really do appreciate everyone who tried to help out by sending the ideas. But I think I had a better idea for this stage, so I scrapped what I had and moved on to the new idea. This new idea was inspired by this section of the Obby Battle Season 2 Final Battle. Basically, there were a ton of doors in this little room, and each door would teleport you to another door. The doors were a sort of portal and you just had to find the correct door to move on. I really liked this concept, so I made a few of these entrances around the room. Each entrance will teleport you to another entrance just like the doors, and then I added conveyor belts because they're pretty cool. I was kind of doubting my building skills at this point because everything looked really basic and boring, and I was just genuinely wondering if I was washed at building. But then I remembered that I had a goal that would require me to push through the demotivation and the doubt. And that goal is to beat LankyBox in subscribers one day. Anyways, I put my Crocs in sports mode and used my ultimate ability to cook this up. I was feeling really happy with how everything turned out. The vibe this room gives off is pretty epic and my confidence had gone up a lot. Before I moved on to making the boss fight, I wanted to test the game out just to see how it felt. But that's when I realized that the game was kinda laggy. I found out that this was because of a script that I had added which spawns in hundreds of cardboard boxes every minute. Apparently Roblox just isn't such a big fan of rendering the physics of hundreds of cardboard boxes, so everything was really laggy. I came up with a very creative solution to stop the lag though. I disabled the script. Bruh. Yeah, I know that's not really what you wanted to hear, and I didn't really want to do this, but at this point, I'd been working on the stage for almost 3 weeks already, and I needed to get to work on the boss battle as soon as possible, since that is what the entire video is about, and I have no clue how much time it'll take to even make the boss battle. I'm sure it won't take that long to make, and then I'll finally have a consistent upload schedule. So now that this entire level was finished and the lag was removed, I was ready to work on the boss battle. But before I do that, I should probably explain the lore so that you can understand why I even put a boss battle into this game. Boss game starts off with you receiving your brand new Lockheed YF-12, only to realize that it's damaged. So you take it to the hospital to get it fixed. On your way to the hospital, you accidentally stumble upon a secret facility and discover that it's actually where all the Lockheed models are created. You figure out that this facility is run by the same people who run the hospital, and that every single Lockheed model is designed to break down so that it can be repaired at the hospital, essentially creating an infinite money glitch. Because you've uncovered this secret, Mr. Chunks, the CEO of this corporation, isn't so happy about your existence. In case you don't recognize his avatar, It's actually my dad's avatar, and that's because he gave me the idea for this game. So I wanted to incorporate him into the game somehow, and so I decided to make him the main villain. Mr. Chunks challenges you to a fight, where if you win, he ends his scheme. But if he wins, you're not making it out of this facility. Yeah, so that's the lore for Horse Game. I can't wait to see the reaction of a random person who's just playing Roblox and finds this game one day.
Oh my.
So my idea for the boss's design was this giant robot horse mech thing that uses the Lockheed model as its limbs. To visualize it a bit better, I made a concept drawing. And this is pretty much exactly what I was thinking of. I then spent the next few hours building the model, and it turned out pretty great in my opinion. Wait, why are the legs so small? After fixing up the legs so that the mech didn't have the build of Dwayne The Rock Johnson and a literal chicken,
You want me to fight the chicken?
I rigged the entire model so that it could be animated. The average person would probably guess that because I just rigged the model for animating, that I'd begin animating the actual model. But what the average person will fail to realize is that I have the attention span of a brick wall. So instead of continuing to work on the boss, I began creating a party system for the boss battle. You're probably quite confused as to why I'm even making a party system at all. So allow me to break it down for you. Okay, so the reason I'm adding a party system is so that players can be teleported to a different game where the boss battle will actually take place. This means that there'll be no queues and both games will be less laggy. So I just need to quickly make a party system, and it can't be that difficult to make. I might have underestimated how much goes into making a system like this. Over the span of 4 days, I spent hours and hours scripting this system, but nothing was working. I was doubting if I was even capable of making the system at all. But I knew I just had to keep going. And then, it happened. I'm kinda overhyping this because aside from the extremely high quality UI,
Are you sure about that?
this is just a pretty generic party system that I could have probably just watched a YouTube tutorial for, but I'm a bit too stubborn for that. With this system, you can create parties with up to 10 players, and you can even choose if anyone or just your friends can join your party. Now that that was out of the way, I could finally get back to making the boss. You might remember that right before I began making the party system, I rigged the entire boss model so that it could be animated. Since the rig was all ready to be animated, I began animating an idle animation. I spent the next few hours on this because I genuinely wanted to make sure that it looked great. And I think I cooked. I was about to start creating a walking animation, but before I did that, I wanted to check if the idle animation played correctly in the actual game. What in the world? Apparently I didn't rig the model properly. So after a tiny crash out, I quickly fixed up the model and then reanimated half of the idle animation. Now that everything was working, I made a walking animation and then started working on making the boss chase the player. As you all know by now, I'm an up-and-coming scripting prodigy, so I was able to easily get that working. Okay, so now I have a boss with animations and a very basic AI that allows it to chase players. But there's something very crucial missing. Attacks. There were 4 attacks that I wanted to make. Number 1, the pew 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 pew. Number 2, the big boom. Number 3, the smelly stomper. And number 4,
Oh, great heavens!
I had a lot to do, so I got straight to work. Alright, so now that the boss can actually attack you, I need to make a way for the player to be able to fight back. I had 2 ideas in mind, a mirror and a bookshelf. Bear with me. The mirror will be used to reflect the boss's projectiles back at it, and the bookshelf will be for when the boss jumps up and slams down. If the boss lands close enough to a bookshelf when it slams, that bookshelf will fall onto the boss. So I quickly made these 2 models, a bookshelf and yeah, the mirror model was not that good, so I made this little mini game instead. You simply need to click once your land goes over this green area, which will deflect the boss's projectile and deal some damage. Then I got started on the bookshelves, but I found a massive problem with them. Every time the bookshelf was supposed to collapse and fall onto the boss, it unanchors hundreds of tiny books which lag out the game a bit. So I had an idea. Tiny book, but big. While I was doing all of this, I also made the room that the boss battle would take place in. It does feel a bit empty and bland in some places, but it works. So now that the entire boss battle is pretty much done, I wanted to add a small cutscene at the start of the boss battle. This cutscene will introduce you to Mr. Chunks and his giant mech. I should probably mention that most of these animations are temporary because I kinda rushed them so that I could get this video out. I do plan on improving them in the future, but for now, I'm fine with how it looks. I'll give it 6.8 out of 9 Burger King Whoppers with no patty and extra lettuce. The next thing I needed to add was a sort of round system. Currently, if everyone dies during the boss battle, the game won't be playable unless you rejoin the main game and go all the way to the end to start another boss battle. So I spent the next few days making sure that the boss battle could be played again. Everything is basically complete now, alright? So what's missing? Well, if you die in the boss battle, you're stuck spectating your avatar until a new round begins. To fix this, I made a spectating system so that you can watch the 4-year-old in your lobby called Bartholomew drive into a wall for 5 minutes until the boss brings his days to an end. Over the next few days, I added mobile and controller support, this cool dialogue system, and some checkpoints into the main game. Everything was pretty much complete. I had been wanting to do a playtest for a while now, so I went into my Discord server and announced a little playtest so that I could see what people thought of the game and if there were any bugs. For months on end, I'd been spending countless hours before school and in my free time working on this game, and it had all led up to this moment. Up until this day, I hadn't actually added any sounds to the game yet, so I just yoinked a few from the toolbox and slapped them into the game so that it didn't feel completely dry during the playtest. I was extremely hyped for this playtest and I was expecting it to go fairly well, but literally everything went bad right from the start. Firstly, nobody except me could even get into the boss fight, so I had to spend the first 30 minutes researching and trying to fix this bug. This was just the beginning. Movement was delayed on players that actually made the game the first day, and then to top all of that off, I changed a few recording settings right before the playtest, so half of the footage looks like this. Like, dude, what am I even doing? I've been working on this game for almost a year and literally nothing works. I also haven't even uploaded in months and all I have to show is this buggy mess. Maybe this was all a mistake. Maybe I should just quit making this game. What?
Never give up, because Tim never gives up.
絶対やってみろ。必ず目標達成できる。だからこそ Never give up. Never back down. Never what?
Never give up!
Let's party.
This was it. just a few days later, and I'd somehow managed to fix all of the major issues in the game that I genuinely thought were going to take months. I once again told my Discord server that I'd be doing a playtest for the game, and then I hopped into a call to see if I'd actually fixed anything or if it was still just as bad as before. Things went a bit better this time. Yes! Yes!
We did it!
Yes!
I'm pressing the button.
Nice try 2 times, how you miss like this? It's low tie, cut ties, threads all on my wrist. I'm tricked up, no fun, catch sweat in my fist.
Help.
Just go backwards, bro. It's a 1 ramp.
No, I wanna go forward.
Dude,
please.
just go backwards, bro. It's 1 ramp.
Please. No, please, it's gonna work.
Wait, there's a hospital. I see the
No way you're at
hospital.
the hospital.
Did you rename?
How do I even... Oh wait, what's this? No flipping way you made a code. That's actually kind of cheeseburger, I'm not even gonna lie.
Yes!
Real.
I beat the crusher level. It's possible, chat.
No flipping way. The creator of the game can beat his own game. Why can't just launch over crushers?
You should go first.
How am I supposed to, how am I supposed to remember stuff?
1 second. This is peak. It's gonna be peak.
Everyone go
Now, obviously the game isn't perfect by any means, and there's still a lot that needs to be added before I can release it. But at least it's beatable now. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope your pillow is cold on both sides tonight, and that's how I made a boss fight for a game about horses. Oh yeah, by the way, I changed the hospital to the horsepital because this guy suggested it, and I also changed the color of the cross so that I don't get in trouble with the Geneva Convention or something.